Hello, this is Trent Brager, your librarian. When conducting a literature review, researchers often cite foundational articles, commonly called seminal articles. These are articles that essentially kicked off a new subfield of research or created a new theory. They're often older articles, but since they set a foundation for future research, they are still used often. For example, if you were researching self-efficacy in children, you'd want to look at Albert Bandura's 1977 article, Self-Efficacy Toward a Unifying Theory of Behavioral Change. Even though it's not the latest research, it began a theory that is still used in the social sciences today. Finding these foundational articles is not done in the way you're probably used to searching, however. The best way to find out which articles are foundational to your topic is to talk to a researcher in the field, someone immersed in the discipline. It's not as easy as clicking a checkbox to find which articles have had a large impact on the field. Since you may not have time or the opportunity to talk to a researcher in your specific area of interest, you can use a few other methods for discovering these important foundational articles. I'm going to mention two of them. The first is to find the articles on your topic that have been cited a lot. Since there's no easy way to measure the impact of an article, we can use a similar factor, usage. In the world of research, if an article is used often, then it is cited often by other researchers. There are two resources that you can access that allow sorting articles by the number of times they've been cited. The first is the Scopus database. From the library's homepage, choose the Databases tab and select the letter S. Scrolling down, you'll find Scopus. It's a database with no full-text articles in it, only article citations from several academic fields, including the social sciences. I will begin with a document search for my sample topic, factors that affect students' sense of belonging at college or university. When searching in Scopus, you may have to try multiple searches to get the scope of your search just right. Searching a very specific topic with many search terms leads to few results. It's usually better to enter fewer terms to keep your search broad. I will simply enter belonging college. Note that you may be asked to sign into Scopus at some point. Just close the box or hit continue as guest. By default, Scopus sorts by the latest articles, but you can change this by selecting the Sort On dropdown. Choose Cited by Highest and the page will reload. Looking at my list, the first two seem to be irrelevant, hitting on some of the non-key parts of the abstracts. However, after these two, the articles look on topic. On the right side, I see the number of times that each of the articles have been cited. There's no numerical threshold that makes an article foundational or not. It's all dependent on the context. I can view the abstract of most articles, and there will be a Get It button that will lead you to Click Search, where you can find the full text of the article, or if the full text isn't available, you can request the article through Interlibrary Loan or ILL. Another cool feature of Scopus is the author search. You may run across articles by the same authors when searching a specific topic, or someone may recommend that you look into the work of a certain scholar. I can either go back to the main Scopus page and search for an author by name, or click on their name from my results list. Since Walton and Cohen show up multiple times in my results, I'll click on one of them. On the author's profile page, I get a bunch of metrics about them and can see all of their articles that are in Scopus, with more sorting options. This could help you find more recent articles by someone who does research in your area of interest. Google Scholar works similarly to Scopus in that it doesn't have any articles in it, but it has lots of citations. To get there, you can simply do a web search for Google Scholar. I'll enter the same search terms I used before. Being a Google product, it sorts results by a secret algorithm, but it's obvious that the number of times an article is cited is a major factor in their sort. You can use it the same way you use Scopus to help find more foundational articles. There are often links on the right that lead to the full text of the article. If there is no link, simply copy and paste the title of the article into ClickSearch. If the article doesn't appear, check the box to include items at other libraries. The record should pop up and you can ILL the article. The second method for finding foundational articles doesn't use a specific database, but it's a way to find them using the articles that you already have in your literature search. If you're looking for foundational articles on the topic of belonging in college, I would guess that you've already done some searching for more recent articles on your topic. You can use them to find foundational articles. To get some more recent articles for my example, I'm going to conduct a search in the ERIC database, which finds articles on education. I'll just pull up an article, and let's say I thought this one was useful for my research. I'm going to look at its reference list at the end. What I'm looking for are names that I see repeated again and again, as well as articles with older publication dates. I see Altbach several times in this one, but skimming the article titles, they don't really look like they're on my topic. This Baumeister and Leary article from 1995 looks promising. Since the main article develops a model, we see a lot of older articles about making models. But they don't fit my topic, so I can skip ones like Bentler and Cattell. The Goodenow one looks useful, though I'm questioning if an article about early adolescence fits my topic. This Hurtado article showed up in both Scopus and Google Scholar, and now here as well, so if I were focusing on Latino students' belonging or was looking at the effect of race on belonging, this is an obvious foundational article to use. So that's basically the method. Search through reference lists of all your articles and look for older articles that continue to be cited, and look for scholars that keep popping up because they do a lot of research in this area. When you have an article title, look it up in ClickSearch to get the full text, or request it if we don't have it. When you have an author name, look them up in Scopus to see what all they've written. Finding foundational articles is a difficult and messy process since what is considered foundational relies on a hazy, context-dependent definition. Therefore, it's difficult to tell what is foundational and what's not. Often, an argument can be made for both sides. When in doubt, ask your professor if they consider something foundational. To learn more about finding these kinds of articles, please email me at tjbrager@stthomas.edu. Thanks for watching.